Back now in 1600, the CEOs of GM, Ford, and Chrysler returned to the Hill today to plead for a federal bailout, but it appears their efforts were unsuccessful, at least in the near term. This hour, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid announced he will not hold a planned vote on the auto bailout because the measure simply would not pass. Joining me now to talk about the auto bailout and its prospects and what it will take for the big three to survive, two men who testified on the Hill today, Sander Levin, Democratic congressman from Michigan, and Jeffrey Sachs, director of the Earth Institute at Columbia University, is also the author of Commonwealth Economics for a Crowded Planet. Welcome both. Jeffrey, let me start with you. Today on the op-ed pages of the Times, Mitt Romney, a son of Michigan, wrote some tough words about the auto industry and whether a bailout should happen. His answer, no. This is what he wrote. Without that bailout, Detroit will need to be drastically restructured, or to restructure itself with it, the automakers will stay the course. The suicidal course of declining market shares, insurmountable labor and retiree burdens, technology atrophy, product inferiority, and never-ending job losses. Detroit needs a turnaround, not a check. Your message was different today on the Hill. Explain it.
I'd say that's wrong on every single count. First, we have no banking system working right now, so a normal thing to do would be that GM would go to the banks during this difficult period where demand has collapsed, but there's no banks. So the problem is we have a cash and carry economy right now, and we have our most important industrial sector collapsing under the weight of no demand and no financing. And if we just step back, what we're going to have is turning a recession, which is already going to be the steepest in 75 years, into the real gamble of a depression. And I think it's mind-boggling that we're not right now taking less than 4% of the $700 billion and putting an insurance policy for the American people in place. That's what they're not doing, and it would be so straightforward to do it. In fact, I think it's going to happen because it is so straightforward to do. This gamble is reckless. What Mitt Romney says is wrong on all counts. The industry is making big changes already. There's been tremendous rationalization, downsizing. There's new technology coming, but the demand collapsed last month after Lehman Brothers went under. There's no financing to see them through to the breakthrough models like the plug-in hybrid Chevy Volt, like Chrysler's extended range electric vehicles. And so you can't do it by just standing back.
Congressman, if all of that is true, then where is the political will in Congress to get financing, to get a bridge loan together for the auto industry?
I think it will be here. I think the testimony of today shows they're in the process of restructuring. They've also undertaken innovation. The electric car is coming. More hybrids from the big three. They are restructuring, and the workers have taken some sacrifices in terms of future pay. So this is in the process, and as Professor Sachs has said, what's happened is there's been this credit crunch that has affected the entire economy of the U.S. Look, in Europe, the auto companies have said to the governments, help us over this hump. Those governments are responding. I think there is the will here in Washington. I think the next few days will show there is that will. There's no alternative. There's an urgency here that has to be met because bankruptcy, Mitt Romney is totally wrong. Bankruptcy means the end of one or more of these companies. No one's going to buy a car from a company that is bankrupt. No one. They may fly in an airplane. They won't buy a car.
But Professor Sachs, where is the innovation? What does innovation in these companies look like?
Innovation is to long mileage vehicles. You know, they've been producing SUVs. That's what the American public's wanted. Now everybody's woken up that because of the energy crisis, because of the climate crisis, because of the price of gasoline, we've got to go a different way. And what GM is doing, for example, is bringing out what I think will be the leapfrog technology. That is to take the hybrid and add in another battery for recharging to get 100 miles per gallon. That's the Chevy Volt. They've already spent also more than $1 billion for the so-called hydrogen fuel cell technology. That's 10 years off, but they're spending a tremendous amount of money on that right now. Very promising for the longer term. What Chrysler is focusing on is so-called extended range electric vehicles. And they've promised to bring one out in the 2010 lithium ion battery based extended range electric vehicle for the 2010 market. These are huge breakthroughs, and we have a major world-class industry which has been producing one kind of car principally, and now it's going to lead, I believe, on another.
But, Congressman, the question is, can this management team that's in place at the Big Three, can it really lead that innovation effort? Can it lead these companies to that future where you've got a new breed of worker producing these cars and get consumers and back into the fold buying American cars?
I think so. Look, mistakes were made in the past, but these companies have changed. This is not the car industry of 5 or 10 years ago. They are changing. What they need is a chance. And the chance means a bridge loan so that they can get over this hump that they're not responsible for. Look,
right.
As I said, other countries are responding, and there's a military aspect here because the synergy between a domestic industry and our military vehicles is complete. We're going to turn all of this over to foreign automakers? No way. We have to take the lead in terms of technology, in terms of batteries, and we are not going to forfeit that chance. And this institution, with the help of the President and the President-elect, who said the automobile manufacturing is the backbone of manufacturing in this country, we have to rise to the occasion in these next 48 hours.
All right. There is, however, a political headwind here where a lot of people around the country are wondering where the bailout stops, where the return on the investment is. So it's going to take a new Congress. It's going to take a new administration, it seems, before we get to this kind of bailout.
We may get to this much faster than it looks right now, because I think that in the end, when they look straight at it, they're not going to gamble with the Depression, because it's nothing less than that. And the important point, David, very quickly, this isn't just about an auto industry changing course. This is about a collapse of the economy after September 15, when Lehman went down. The whole world economy is in collapse. So it's not really about the auto companies. It's about the absence of financial markets right now and how to respond to that in an urgent way so that we don't have a Great Depression.
All right, going to leave it there. Professor Jeffrey Sachs, thanks for being here. And Congressman Levin, appreciate you being here as well.